Welcome to the Contractor Sales Academy podcast. Steve, Derek, what's going on, guys?
How you doing, man?
Doing
better
well.
and better.
That's right.
Better and better and better.
Steve is back from vacation, Derek, so we got to behave ourselves again, you know.
Man, we had so much fun. We had so much. Yes.
So
Okay. I noticed that the membership in the bridge increased when I was gone, so that's a good thing.
oh yeah, a lot of good things are going on. So today, I know Steve, you brought it up with the topic here today. Something about getting better. What are we talking about?
I just said we were talking about it, discussing a topic. I said, okay, how do you get better? How do you grow? How do you move the ball down the field as a human being? And not just in business, but in all things. And the bottom line is we're all living on this vine of life, and either you're growing on the vine or you're dying on the vine. And if you think you don't have to constantly learn every goddamn day of your life, you're going to go nowhere. And that's what we're all about. I know that's what we're pushing in the bridge. We're all about. That's why we get on once a week and do a podcast. We're just trying to share shit that we have learned. I have learned more shit in the last couple of years of my life. I'm 63. Yeah. I've learned more stuff in the last 3 years than I learned my entire 60 before that. Because and I know the three of us, we talk about this podcast and that webinar and this person and that person. And we're constantly searching to not just raise our bar, but really the key to solidify your growth as a human being is turn around and share that information with somebody else, which is all we're really doing.
It really is nonstop. As I'm listening to you say this, when you're around like-minded people with a growth habit or a growth mindset, it's really powerful, and it's exciting. Man, I just think back to all the years that I didn't have a group of people to be around and how miserable, like truly miserable I was in business. Now, social life, sure, that was fine. And but you kind of, how far does that bar go? Unless you're really around your social circle is really evolving. Mine really didn't. Just kind of stayed stagnant. But when I got around like-minded people in the industry, like industries, the trades, and was just learning all these things, good habits, bad habits. But the bad habits also fell forward, right? And my winters in my trade, in a lot of trades, you're off for an extended period of time. But all of a sudden, my winters changed. That month that I was really off and didn't have a lot to do, or maybe even a month and a half, sometimes 2 months, I was networking and talking to people, and just it changed everything. Like just changed my whole trajectory.
Yeah, Steve, the first thing I thought of when you asked the question, how do you grow in life? How do you move forward in life? First thing that came out of into my mind was look for opportunities to be uncomfortable. Like I've personally felt, and you guys know what's going on with the news we talked about in our meeting before this. I'm not allowed to share it yet. And Steve, you and I talked last week or whatever it was on the phone, and you asked me how I was feeling about it. I said I was scared shitless. And
talk about growing.
Yeah. And so, this is good because I've really felt, even though our businesses are growing, things are going well, I don't feel I've done anything in my career to really get uncomfortable lately. And I know we've all been there. Like we reach this level of success where you're not like scraping by to eat, you're making great money, things are good. It's easy to get complacent. It's easy to accept that mediocrity. And I've been looking for something for the past several months to really put the pressure on me in my professional life. And that's certainly what's coming along, and at the appropriate time we'll share about it. But I just think if you want to grow, you got to look for opportunities to be uncomfortable, and that could be as simple as getting into a group or a mastermind or something where that you're the poorest guy in the room, right? or whatever. Like, I just think there's so much value. I mean, we're all successful guys here, but there's value when you get in a room. Steve, you've done it. We were down in Cabo, or the three of us, we were down in Cabo. You guys remember the room we were in?
Sure.
You know, there were some people in that room that I learned a lot of things from. And, and so I want to encourage people to get uncomfortable, you know, that's really where you're going to move forward the fastest.
And that uncomfortable part, like for me, it has to be stark. And I just use the reference like cliff diving or cliff jumping. That's here where I'm at. There's a lot of quarries, and that's just what we did, teenagers and early 20s, and well, even this summer. But when you're standing on that edge, and then we're talking 30 feet, I'm not talking crazy, just 30 feet. But there's an adrenaline rush. There's a holy shit, I'm about to do this. And that's where you have to feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because just going, I'm just going to get a little uncomfortable. I'm just going to make this phone call. No, you have to get like, holy shit, like Tom's going to experience here real soon. It's good. It has to be, yeah, that's when you know you really, and then when you get used to that, man, you have definitely risen to a whole nother level.
So what I'm hearing you say, that when you get to the edge, the very edge of your comfort zone, that's when the good stuff starts to really happen. And if you can take a step over that line, and let me just say, anybody listening to us right now, they do not have a fixed mindset. They have a growth mindset, because they wouldn't be listening to a podcast. You're only listening to podcasts for one of two reasons. One, if it's an entertainment podcast, and two, if it's a good for you podcast. And of course, we try to be both, but the point is, anybody listening to us is open to the idea they can learn new stuff. Mm-hmm. The fixed mindset, just for reference, is someone that does not feel like they can learn any new stuff. They're done for. They're only so smart. They can't increase their IQ or anything. And I'm just sitting here telling you what I told you 10 minutes ago, that I've learned more shit in the last 3 years than I learned in the 60 before that. And it's weird. The more you're open to learning new stuff, the more it's easier to become more open to learning yet more new stuff. And truly, this freaking jumping off that, and 30 feet, by the way, Derek, 90% of the world's population would never make that leap. They can't get that. It doesn't sound like much, but I used to tower dive, and that's only 32 feet, 10 meters. And that scares the shit. My feet sweat, man. So that jumping off 30 feet, man, you got a set of huevos, as they say, that probably is dragging on the ground.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, and I don't know where I heard this, but if you're setting goals and the goals aren't freaking you out a little bit to where, and I don't mean like you're terrified and fear is overwhelming, but I think like the thing I'm doing now that, you know, we'll get into later, it's just one of those things where I'm freaking out. I'm going, wow, I really need to be on my game here, like all the time. You know, we all reach a point in our success and in our skills where honestly, we could just kind of show up and get by because we've developed our skills. And so I'm just encouraging people, look for that thing that freaks you out a little bit. Yeah, you're holding that thing. Did Gina send you that?
Yeah, and I put it on my goddamn board.
She sent me the same one. Read it, Steve.
It says, life begins at the edge of your comfort zone.
Yep.
And I hang it on my board because I want to be reminded every day that although we're scared, to join a group. Join a group, open yourself up and go, hey, I don't have all the answers, but I'm here to get the answers. Yep. Just to do that alone takes a huge set. And those are the people that are killing it, man. But, you know, you got to have the balls to do that, because you know what I'm learning right now? Here's the greatest thing, and I only need 30 seconds. Your brain's job is to keep you in your comfort zone. It's to keep you in a particular place that's not so scary. And your brain will lie, cheat, and steal to you. It will. It'll lie to you so you don't go do the uncomfortable thing. It will tell you shit like, you know, let's just say you just can't raise your prices because you're scared to do that. It's your brain that don't. You can't charge that. Nobody will pay that. There's no way. They'll kick you out of the yard. So I'm trying to learn. I'm learning now how the brain works so I can have a better life and turn around and teach other people how they can have a better life.
Well, Steve, that whole your brain's job is to protect you. That's Derek. You know, a couple years ago, you were really big in the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I know you still are. The Mel Robbins.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And basically the science is if you think to yourself, oh, I should call that customer back who's mad at me. If you wait longer than like 5 seconds, your brain will talk you out of it. Right. So that's why the idea is take action as quickly as you can so that, you know, your brain doesn't f- up for you.
Well, it's as we're on this. See, this is what I love about this. Like with meeting you guys and becoming fast friends and partners and family, and like the whole how we've grown as friends. And it's like now we're talking about the brain. Like it's stripping me out. When you talk about growth, like that's where we're at now. Now we're figuring out like psychosis and how this shit works. So it's amazing.
Well, I'm digging it. So the lesson here for today for people is if you want to grow in your life, one word each guy or one sentence each one of you guys. Go.
Join the bridge. Join the bridge.
You
It
go.
will change your. I'm sorry. I'll be a prostitute for my own business because it is that bridge, yes or no, has personally changed 1,000 lives that we know of.
Yeah.
And they say it. My life has changed because I joined that goddamn group. And for $300 a week, you may not think you're worth it, but the three of us, we know you're worth it. So join the freaking bridge.
$300 a month.
Yeah. And with that, I was thinking about this on the ride, just getting to the office to get on this podcast. We're going to do something anyway. So you just got to do it faster. Like truly just quit thinking about the shit and just do it because it like job costing or any business related, the phone calls or the walkthroughs or whatever your spreadsheets, whatever it is, you're going to eventually do it.
Yep.
So just do it sooner so that you don't have to deal with that shit. Cause it's just, that's what's rolling. And it has to do with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in essence, but it's just like, just do it.
Every successful entrepreneur has the same complaint. I wish I'd have done this earlier.
Yeah. Yep. And I guess the one thing I'll add, if you want to grow, you know, it's just a value of mine is get oxygen first. You got to get your own oxygen. You got to take care of yourself. I think so many of us, in periods of time where I don't think I'm growing, I could look at my daily habits and I'm neglecting myself, right? I neglect my reading time in the morning or when I fill out my planner, when I write my goals down, when I go exercise. So you got to feed your own machine. Maybe we could talk about that on another episode, but you know, mentally, physically, that's a huge part of success as well. So well, you guys are awesome. If you found any value in this podcast, please give us a review wherever you're listening to it. Share it with another contractor. Like we said before, we pay money to produce this. We don't charge anything for it. We don't have sponsors. We don't do any of that shit. So what we'd ask of you guys is to just give us a review so that it gets in the ears of other contractors that could use this stuff. So Derek, Steve, as always.
On that note, iTunes review is worth all the other reviews put together. So
Yeah.
iTunes is a place you want to review us.
There you go. Good deal. Well, Derek, I know you got to run. You got your role plays with Derek call here in a couple minutes,
Yeah.
which I know you'll kick ass on, and we'll see everybody next time.
Outstanding. Thank you, gentlemen.